Urban Notes Podcast, where real people tell real stories through urban lifestyles and cultures.
Peace, peace, peace.
How you doing today? Peace. How you doing?
What's going on, man? What's going on, Key?
Not much. No
What's
bad,
going
man.
on?
Not much. Welcome to On the Block with Rasta. I'm your host, Rasta Around. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have an honor and the privilege to meet one of my co-brothers from H.O.L.L.A,
Mm-hmm.
Alexander Davis. Alex, how you doing?
Peace, peace, peace. Uncle Mayat, Hotep, Black Power, Black Liberation, Free the Land. Um, I'm feeling um I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Been having a great weekend. Um, you know, been having strong, transformational, struggle, powerful weeks and trying to continue the fight and the struggle within myself and for us.
Definitely, definitely. So before we get started into this conversation, because I know there's going to be a deep, great conversation today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got a few questions to ask, though. I know you very well personally and professionally, right? But most of my audience don't. So I got a couple of things I want to ask. What's your name? What's your correct gender pronoun? Where you from? And how you practice how to heal?
Mm. My name is uh, Alex Altoro. Uh, I am from Brooklyn, but a lot of my family's also from,
Big up to Brooklyn.
from North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi, Honduras, Belize, Puerto Rico, and Africa. Just all over the world. We are world class people, so want us to understand that we are all over the world, and our family comes from all over the world.
Right.
Definitely, uh, my gender pronouns is he, they, them, Altoro, and the ways I practice healing. Mm, the ways I practice healing is having hard conversations with myself.
Mm,
Um, really creating a dialogue that is truthful with myself, that is understanding what I'm feeling, what I'm going through. Um, and I think I need to communicate and learn how I'm feeling and learn how to have conversations with myself so then I can know how to have conversations with people about those feelings and about what I'm going through. Um, and I think that is, a real important part of my healing process and
mm.
how I engage in healing.
Yes, I like that. I like the fact that you talk about healing, right? And and ever since I met you, you was on this journey for a long time, and and I applaud the journey that you was on for being you and being supportive of your companionship, best friend that you lost, Mika. You feel me? I remember her like it's no other. So definitely, right? When we talk about healing, like what is healing from inherited ignorance mean to you when you hear people talk about healing and people always talk about ignorance, but when you put those words together with inheritance, what comes to your mind?
What comes to mind, and this is so, you know, good for the conversation because, um, yeah, this came up in another conversation a few days ago. But what comes to mind when I hear that question is that the the urgency to heal with family.
Mm,
The urgency to heal with family, and because there's so much interpersonal, intimate, historical, systematical violence in our families.
mm,
And healing with our families is definitely is like the most the most important struggle in our struggle for liberation, and our people. Um, and us at Holla, How Our Lives Link Go Together, which is a grassroots organization that does work centered around healing and building young people's uh, critical social political analysis
Mm-hmm.
on the war that is happening on Black and Brown people around the world, and how do we engage in that in our communities through movement work. We really been thinking about how do we heal with our families, and how do we engage with our families in a way that really brings our fight for liberation home. And I say that because, working as a community activist, organizer, struggler, liberator, revolutionary, uh, rapper, activist, artivist, is bringing the work that we do home, having our families understand the importance in uh, learning about our history, in questioning the Eurocentric white supremacist structures that we um, normalize ourselves in, and um, feel complacent in, and feel needing, um, because we don't know our history, because we don't have our spirituality, because we are in all these toxicities. So when you think about healing with your family, and I think about my own, I have nieces, nephews, sisters, cousins who all go through so much. And you know, it's not good that we only come together when somebody dies, or when, somebody is in need because of criminal, um, because of the criminal system is locking up our people and our families and putting them in certain kind of pressures and situations. So I really feel, you know, and it's not just about, you know, um, you know, not only learning our history, but also activating in spirituality, activating and talking about how do we heal through uplifting our ancestors, because our ancestors is also our great grandmothers, and some of our families don't talk about that history. Some of our
Right.
families engage in what happened to, you know, Uncle so and so, or just engaging in our family history in general, because we know families be beefing.
Right.
I have a mom who also don't talk to her sister in years. And so my cousins and me, and we don't talk because we don't have a relationship because of that kind of beef that they have between each other.
Mm-hmm.
So healing with families is really something that I think, when you say that question, comes to mind, and learning and engaging in that. And I really think, loving your blackness, loving you feel me, that is a part of that, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and loving your moms, loving your father, being able to forgive, being able to circle back and reflect, to be able to follow up. Um, Something I was talking with my partner today was that we shouldn't live our lives with regret. We shouldn't live our lives dying on our last breath, not
Mm-hmm.
being able to say sorry, not being able to circle back to the ones that we hurt, not being able to do good deeds. Um, we shouldn't just, you know, let that go when that is unfinished business. And I know that takes time and a process, and that's
Right.
why it's real. Um, but I think, it's just important that we, really honor the time that we have on this planet to put in the good and resurrect the things that we haven't resurrected yet. Um, Thank you.
Definitely, definitely, bro. Definitely, well said. Um, and it's important to really understand trauma, right? And it's important to, how to get them when it needed, when you get the trigger points, to attack them from the trigger points and cut them and really analyze and have a deep analysis of them and really understand why he acts the way he do and how he show ups the way he show ups. I think that's deep the way you said that, and it really made me reflect on the relationship with me and my mother. Right? We had a good relationship, but I feel like we didn't have a great relationship in my eyes, in mine. Right?
Mm,
Because I felt like, as the older, I wanted, some type of attention, right? Not to say that I wanted, but wanted to need it. And really understand that I had to understand that when you grow up, certain things you have left a child's place. And once we get older, we start learning that these habits becomes normal. And then we start figuring out why we getting the same habits, why we keep these same habits show up everywhere we go. And when we start peel back the layers of those habits and start seeing the trigger points of those habits, and then you start understanding like this is passed down. It's like it's never been broken. And when you
mm,
start removing those things that is broken, and you start educating them things and try to dissect those things and really understood it, then you understand who you really are as a person, right? So I like the
mm,
fact that you say that. So the next question is, how do we engage in healing as Black men and Black women?
mm. I believe. Yeah. I think. I'm gonna stay on. Doing resurrection work. Right now I'm in um an initiate in the Shrine of Mayat.
Mm,
I've been really um going and leaning and moving forward to learn about Kemetic spirituality and practice that as a way for healing. And one of the things I learned last week was about the Kepper. Um, and I'm in the Kepper process. And the Kepper is a symbol, one of the symbols of our Kemetic ancestors um, who seen this glorious insect who understood uh, the path of the stars,
mm,
that understood a process of growth, of rebirth, of resurrecting. And it really showed them that to go forward, you have to go backward. So to, like I was saying, um, being able to learn about your history, learn about yourself, but also being able to go back to that, that 6-year-old you, find that what happened back then, what was going on, um, and learning from your past selves to be your new self, to
mm,
be divine. So when I think about, Black men and Black women, how can they engage in healing? I think about the Keppa process. I think about transformation within yourself. Um, and that's really dissecting the environments that that aren't good for you. Who are you around that you feel like um is a hindrance to your growth? But also, I know these are our people, so you want to see them grow. But
mm,
then how do you communicate, yo, I want a different process? Because I'm definitely all about friendship and love and our community. But then we got to communicate if we know in our own selves and our own spirit, like, dang, this is not right. I need something else. Something got to be more.
mm,
Something got to be more. Um, Not only our environments, but what about our actions? What actions that we make that we are so tired of making? Like,
mm,
damn, why do I do this? And I know that I know this, I'm doing it, or we in the or it's so deep in the subconscious that damn, we don't even know we doing it.
mm,
So what actions that we need to change from and transform from? um, behaviors, what behaviors and thoughts that go through our mind that does not make us be the transformed selves that we want to be. Why do they ponder in our minds? What is going on? What happened? How did we get hurt? Or who did we hurt? Um, what is really just stopping us from being our best selves, from being that divine self that we are? Um, so we really got to think about that. And like I said, and I was, um, thinking of this to myself earlier, but we got to have conversations with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Having conversations with yourselves is the best way to communicate and find you.
Yep. Well said.
You can't go walking around days and you're not building with like, yo, what am I thinking? What am I waking up and doing today? Why is my body okay? I want water, but why is my body going towards all this other shit? Like, what am I eating?
Right.
Oh, I'm just waking up and going to get McDonald's. Like, is that just how we did it? Did we not process why we about to eat McDonald's? Did we not say like, okay, I'm about to eat this trash because I ain't got it, and I'm gonna figure it out later because I know what is the stuff?
Right.
What is the stuff on the everyday basis that we need to communicate with ourselves about? How are we talking to like our kids? What is our kids watching? We got to think about that. What is our kids eating, reading, watching? What are they feeling?
Mm. Because you
Do you
say
think about
that.
that with yourself? But
Ooh.
but but, but thinking about that with yourself and saying
Mm-hmm.
how are you connected to that? You understand? I think that's what I'm saying. Like and I know healing is so connected to each other. But this individual process is the beginning of it, and I think and is the ongoing of it because it's
Mm-hmm.
ongoing. It is ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
What is so beautiful is that I just learned about the subkets and basically and I'm an initiate, so I'm not the best to break all of this down, but I'm gonna break it possible. But the subkets is the priest temples back in Kemet in ancient Africa, in Kemet, which the Greeks called Egypt after conquering and invading.
Mm-hmm.
But in Kemet, um, we had temples and priests, would practice the Kemetic spiritual tradition there. And usually to get in the temple, you would have to go through a subket, and you will have to be asked a question or where you will be challenged. And if you get the right correct answer, you'll be able to pass through the subket. And there are many subkets. So like once you go in the temple, which will probably be your first subket, to get through all the other subkets, you need to transform because you don't even know those answers or those analysis or that spiritual understanding in yourself in the in the world in
Mm-hmm.
the Natharu. So understanding that transformation is those subcats. After I go through a subcat, there's so much more growth. You're not just, oh, yeah, that's it. No, that is definitely not it. And that's good because
Right.
we are divine beings of transformation and we need to always be able to transform.
Mm. I like that. I love that fact that you said that because you was talking about the kids in a previous statement, right? Um, get teach them certain what we gotta monitor what they're watching, what they do to teach them the right way. So with that being said, because you were talking about the young people, so I wanna swing back on that same conversation when you were talking to the young people, and how will we promote healing to them?
Hmm. How do we promote healing? Um, mm, you got to practice what you preach, and and So, I'm sitting here, standing here actually, thinking about the ways I show up for my nieces and nephews.
Mm,
And, they're so beautiful. They definitely, enlighten me, and that's another thing. Young people already got healing in them.
mm,
That's first. Young people already got healing in them. It's the world that fucked them up. It's the war that fucks us up. That's so true. Young people got so much healing in them. And all you got to do is find ways to tap and engage and be vulnerable.
mm,
Because me being my older self, I have been harmed by the war in a way where it's dang so hard to tap in and just share the abundance of love that is within me to give to them.
mm,
Um, and that is a part of how do you promote and engage in healing with young people. When I see my nieces and nephews, they always give me hugs. They be saying, I love you. I say, I love them. There's many times where my niece, not many times, but there are times where my niece have gotten into something in school or somebody have bullied her. And I was there to support her and being an ear and listening, you know, being able to have a space where she could communicate how she feels. And me not questioning her, not telling her she's lying, but just being able to journey with her. Like, okay, then we're gonna go to the school. I'm gonna be there with you. I got, everything's good, and we're gonna talk to the parents, and everything's good, and I'm here with you. Um, and having that not just when things are happening, but all the time. How do you tap in and be like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How you feeling? All right, and engage. Like, okay, but also understand that as somebody who's also transforming, but also somebody who's an elder, I should be pouring in. So I should be knowing what am I pouring in and making sure it's the best of my best self and best ability. Okay. So when I'm saying something to give them advice, it should be something that I know is genuine and loving and nothing that is going to put them in harm's way. Um, You know, I think definitely for our black and brown young people, indigenous young people, we need to engage in our history. Black people need to engage in their history. Black young people do not learn their history in school. And that is the first part that is going to hurt them in their healing journey. Because I said young people have healing in them. And what
right.
hurts the war, and a part of that war is the systems that oppress us. And our education is not our education. So our young people is in school 6 or 7 hours a day, bringing homework of the European colonization, indoctrination. And, we already indoctrinated too. We went through the same shit. So
Right.
you need to understand and decolonize yourself as a parent, as somebody who's a caregiver, as somebody who's a young, who's a who caters to young people, who loves and gives back to young people. We need to decolonize. We need to dissect. We need to learn so we could empower them and pour into them what they need to know, what they should be listening to, what they should be challenging their own insides about because they have healing within them. And but the war is still on them too.
Mm,
If we do it early, they won't be in their 20s having to find who they are, but understanding who they are so they could transform a little bit more.
right.
I think there's so much more. You know, um, I think it's the journey. You gotta journey with young people and pour in them and also decolonize yourself so you could support their process of decolonizing and challenging the world that's around them that is harmful on black people.
Hmm.
Um, you know,
Definitely,
and have the abundance of love, you know,
definitely.
abundance of love.
You always gotta have abundance of love. That's the only way you can carry through the life. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I feel everything you were saying. Definitely. Thank you, Alex, for for that deep wisdom and insight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, thank you guys. Thank you for everybody who's listening. If you're listening, you hear this good word from
Definitely.
Alex. Um,
Word.
definitely. But before we go, Alex, right? What book would you recommend my audience to read and why?
Mm-hmm.
Because you talk
Let
about
me on this
journey, you
note.
talk about personal healing, personal growth. So, what book would you recommend?
I'm bringing in our ancestor, Bell Hooks. I'm bringing in
Ooh,
All About Love.
mm,
That book, All About Love by Bell Hooks, our ancestor. Thank you so much, Bell Hooks. I think definitely you should get that reading because it's because a few things I understand like about me as a person and how I want to read or how I want to journey and study and learn is that you need history, but then you also need things that work on transformation. And I think Bell Hooks' book on All About Love is directly towards transformation and understanding and dissecting and challenging what you think is love. What you think is love.
mm,
Are you being loved the right way? Do you even love the right way? Have you been loved the right way? Actually, have you lost love? Do you even think you ever been loved?
mm,
But not only that, let's forget this word love because love can't just be the only word. You need to dissect that. What is in love? Because if your love has a side of hurt and pain, and this is what you do when you in love or when you have love, then that maybe not be love. Actually, I don't wouldn't even think it's love.
mm.
And you really need to question and dissect that. And I think Bell Hooks' book on All About Love really helps you transform and figure that out. And it's not something you want to read all through, like I'm just read a book and like just read all of it and no, process it. After you took in chapter one and chapter two, sit with yourself like, wow, this is what okay. Now when and journey with that. Go use what you learned or what you're trying to travel through or what you're trying to challenge and work through and see if it works. See if, how that's going for you.
Right,
And
right.
then read some more. Because
Yes.
we can't just because we just can't read to read. We need to read to process, to
Mm,
transform and
mm,
journey. Don't just because you
yes.
don't gotta read a whole book in a day. You don't gotta read a whole book in a month. You need to journey what you need with what you need to know when you need to know it.
Mm, definitely.
Learning is about learning what you need to know and when you need to know it. So you don't need to know everything at the same time.
Right, right. Definitely. Bell Hooks, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you get your copy of Bell Hooks' story. Book on Bell Hooks on What About Love. Definitely. Alex, so where can they find you? Where can the people find you?
Nah, definitely. People could find me one at Holla, link all together.
Yeah,
On
shout out to Holla.
Instagram or on our, webpage, Here with Holla. You can also, check out our YouTube, Holla TV. Um, and you can find me on Instagram, MC underscore Altoro, where I also got my SoundCloud there, Altoro.
Right.
Word.
Definitely,
So thank you for
definitely,
this, Ron. Thank you for this. This was dope. I really
definitely.
appreciate this. It's really good hearing from you and talking and building,
Most
sharing with
definitely.
the community. And definitely hope to hear from you soon, bro.
Most definitely. This not just the beginning, this not the end. It's a lot more journey to go. Most definitely. And everybody here, thank you guys for tuning in onto On the Block with Rasta. Make sure you hit me with that follow on Spotify. And yes, definitely check out MC. I'll make sure you follow Alex on all social media platform. Make sure you go to healwithholla.com. Make sure you go to How Our Live link or to get on Instagram. Trust me, check it out, guys. I've been there. I've been with these guys. These guys are the realest. These guys are the dopest. These guys are, I roll with them for almost 8 years. Trust me, everything about healing that Alex spoke today, ladies and gentlemen, is all just deep rooted spirituality, ancestrally, you know, rooted coming from his body, his soul, and who he is. But thank you so much, Alex, for coming through. Shout out to Brooklyn. Peace and love, man.
Shout out. Peace, bro. Be safe.